What is the craziest thing you have ever woken up to from a night of partying? I woke up in a blanket fort on the floor of my friend's dorm room on my mattress that I apparently dragged up 2 floors. Need to build. Blanket fort. Godzilla's attacking. In college, I ended up crashing on a couch in a house I was unfamiliar with. When I woke up, I saw some dude standing on the other side of the dimly lit room. I said, "Oh man, what a crazy night. Thanks for letting me crash on your couch. We'll have to do this again." Yada yada yada. I went on like this for 10 minutes. Turns out I was talking to an oscillating fan with a hat on it. Not me, but my friend once woke up with the toilet tank lid under his pillow. Woke up in a 100-year-old bassinet in a pioneer village. I thought I went back in time. Not earth-shattering, but when I was about 20 I was living in a party house, plenty of long loud nights and headache mornings. Lots of strangers crashing. No big deal. But one morning I woke up and headed into the living room and noticed one of my room is asleep on the couch in a sitting position. In one hand he had a fully cooked now cold pork chop. In the other hand he had a salt shaker. I shook him awake and he roused. He looked bleary-eyed around the room and then he looked down at his hands. Very slowly, he sprinkled some salt on his pork chop and started eating it. That's breakfast in a party house. My friend passed out on the couch while the party was still going on. He woke up to go to the bathroom. He walked into the kitchen, opened the dishwasher, and proceeded to piss over all of our clean dishes. When we yelled at him to stop, he slowly looked up mid-piss and said, "Just let it happen." I once went to the pub for a cheeky pint. Woke up 8 miles away in a completely trashed house. I came to on a sofa bed with around 20 people slumped all over the room. I sat up, and a dude the other side of the room looked me in the eye, laughed and said, "You're crazy, man." No one at the party knew who I was before or how I got there, and neither do I. Still see them sometimes. Once I woke up the morning after a party in South Philly and went out back for a cigarette. When I was back there I heard some rustling around in the garbage behind this fence. I peeked over to see an old man rolling around in it with a beer in hand. A boy emerged from the house next door and yelled, "Grandpa, get out of the garbage." The old man then replied, "You get out of the garbage," and continued his trash game. I woke up halfway in the refrigerator. My friend said I got hot. Cleared out the bottom shelf and stuck half my body in there. Good times. I woke up hiding in the bushes outside the barracks. I was wearing a gill suit I had made, so I can only assume I was the ultimate winner of a hide and seek game. I woke up to Chicago. I started drinking 3 hours away and apparently joined some dude on his trip to Chicago. Woke up in the trunk of a car. So glad that I was wise enough to leave it slightly open and not shut. Drywalled into my room. Drunken rage Hulk smashed through it. I'm about 6'4" and one day after a particularly wild party I woke up in the trunk of a Camry hatchback. Full beer in one hand. Freshly packed bowl in the other. The middle section of the back seats had been folded down, providing me with a window. So I looked though and found 5 other people fast asleep in there. 2 in the front seats, 2 in the back seats, and 1 huddled up in one of the backseat footwells. At this point I had no idea where the car was parked, but I decided I'd smoke the bowl, drink the beer, and then investigate further. 10 minutes later I popped the boot and fell out onto the road in a cloud of smoke and hunger swearing. Right in front of a trendy sock salon type taking her 1.5 kids for a morning walk. Like literally 3 feet away from her. I necked the rest of my beer, climbed back into the trunk and carefully closed it behind me, never once acknowledging the woman's existence. I still sometimes wonder what went through her head when it all happened. I woke up in my neighbor's bathtub. I had never been in their house before and have no idea how I got in there. They would not stop screaming. I live in Tennessee, but I took a bunch of pills one afternoon, and by the time they wore off the next day I was on an island close to Savannah. Turns out my GF and had I met up with her boss and his friends that afternoon at a restaurant and drank a few bottles of wine. He was a pilot that had his own relatively small plane and a place on Tybee. I found out that next day that we drank more and more wine, and I don't even like wine, until we decided to take a weekend trip there. The worst part was that I had agreed to help pay for the fuel and food, which ended up costing well over $1,000. When I woke up, though, I thought I had driven all the way down there, which was scary, until I learned that I had actually flown there with a drunk pilot. After a night of drinking, I passed out on the blow-up mattress on the floor. My blacked out best friend woke up around 4 or 5 AM to pee, and he unknowingly stands over me and pisses all over me. I was not too happy. He doesn't remember anything. I woke up under a pile of expensive coats in the lobby of a UN-owned penthouse in Vienna. A friend of mine was sleeping on the lobby couch, spooning what appeared to be the door from the men's room. There was nobody else in that penthouse. Edit, since apparently some people wanted to know how this happened. I talked to those involved, and apparently the parts we remember form this picture. We partied on New Year's and had somehow met this girl from Mexico whose entire family is in the UN and lives in Vienna. She tells us about the great view from the family penthouse and that everyone else is back in Mexico for a week. So all of us 60 people all around, her friends, us, and some random strangers we swept up on the way, invaded this rather posh multi-level affair with 3 balconies, 2 house bars and a grand view of the city. And then all of us got wasted on expensive alcohol and various substances, met people from all over the planet, watched a Spanish guy free climb a 60-angled roof covered in snow to get his beer back, helped throw out a bunch of neo-Nazis who had somehow managed to slip in. The new year rolled around and the party was still picking up speed. So at about 4 AM the remaining 12 or so of us decide to go see if any bars are still open. And we leave except for that one friend of mine who turned back to take a piss. After waiting for him for about 15 minutes or so, we play rock paper scissors to decide who has to go back and look for him. I lose, for rock betrayed me. So I go back and find him on the couch with the door. He apparently locked himself in the bathroom and, panicking, unhinged the door from the inside somehow. I have no idea how, and then suddenly had this post-adrenaline surge crash and decided that yes, this was a good place to sleep. I heard that the next day, but at that moment, my line of thought was duck this, not dealing with this right now. So I drunkenly texted some gibberish about how he got sick and I was taking him to a taxi, built a little cave out of the coats in the lobby, crawled in there, and went to sleep. New Year's Day 2011 was off the hook. I woke up in solitary confinement after a huge blackout while partying. I thought I was kidnapped and punched and kicked the door for over an hour until a guard finally came to calm me down. My fists were so swollen I couldn't even come close to closing a fist for about a week after. That first hour was absolutely terrifying. I don't drink anymore. Started drinking in London. Woke up on a building site in Tampere, Finland. Edit, basically drinking in London with a few mates. One of them was flying to a festival in Finland that night. Had my passport. So thought duck it. Why not? He lost me at Tampere airport. I met some punk rock kids. Hopped in their car. The rest is history. In my parents' bed. Between my parents. A ditch. Apparently. I thought it was a good place to sleep because I was too drunk to make it back to my dorm after a party in college. Edit, I also remembered a story about my friend in college who woke in another girl's bed. She was so drunk that she thought it was her room and the door was open. So she lay down on the bed and slept. When she woke up there was a note next to her that said, "Hey, I don't know who you are, but you were really asleep last night. But don't worry, T's cool if you crash here. I was going to spend the night in my boyfriend's room anyway. Just please make sure you close the door when you leave. Please. I left you a glass of water on the nightstand." Woke up next to a girl with her back to me in my bed. I went back to bed. When I woke up my roommate asked me about the black midget she saw scamper out of my room. Yes, I did it with a black midget. The morning after my bachelor party I woke up spooning my best friend's wife. When I was stationed in Korea I wound up drinking with some of the guys in my platoon. We started with just Bud Light, then moved to Jack, and finally one of the Korean guys attached to us brought out the soju. We drank way too much soju. It was awesome. Anyways, there's about an 8-hour gap I can't account for, but I do know that 3 of my buddies and I woke up inside my tank in the motor pool. I'm extremely glad the damn thing wasn't running when we woke up. This hot girl I was friends with threw a small party with a dozen or so friends since her parents were out of town and everyone got exceptionally shit-faced. The parents were coming home early in the morning, so she asked everyone to leave at about 2 AM. It was thought I had caught a ride with another friend, but no, I was passed out cold in her parents' walk-in closet after throwing up in their bathroom. I wake up, realize where I'm at, freak out, and stumble out into the kitchen where her and her parents are having a nice brunch. Everyone was shocked, and I looked crazy. This was how I met my future wife's parents. Please tell me this is true. I want to believe you're married to hot girl. Had a very long engagement. Will be hitched June 15th. Broken met a couple from improperly punching a wall. Naked people scattered around my house. Trash cans. Safety blockade signs in the living room. Traffic cones. So many random things have happened over the years. Another weird one was when my sister and her boyfriend had come back from the bar to my house with a few friends. Well, they brought this random chick that they never knew before that night to my place. She ended up passing out right in the living room, face first on the floor. I wasn't going to boot her out because she was just so ducked up from drinking and or whatever else she did that night. Fast forward 8 hours. I wake up around 9:30 am. The girl is gone. Front door wide open, and a huge piss puddle outlined her lower body on my floor. Poor girl pissed herself. I wasn't even mad because I could only imagine how she felt and how embarrassed she was when she awoke. Too long didn't read, random chick passed out on my living room floor and pissed herself. Maybe late, but after a particularly wild party in our college suite, every piece of furniture was somehow squeezed into my room, essentially trapping me in my bed. Horrific fire hazard, but I was impressed they were able to stuff a full-sized couch, love seat, 3 dressers and 4 chairs into my tiny room, which already had my furniture in it without waking me up. Good times. My roommate's new GF naked in my bed. I thought it was her twin sister, so I was like, score, until she woke up and freaked. Fortunately, unfortunately, nothing had happened. Apparently she got up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, and since it was her first night sleeping over, she got confused about which room was which. Consider subscribing if you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of Reddit Universe.